Hey there, great to have you along on this Tuesday. I'm Veronica Cruz. It's great to see you. Here's a look at the top stories that we're tracking for you right now.
Right now, leaders of NATO countries are meeting in Lithuania for a two-day summit.
The main focus is going to be that war in Ukraine and Ukraine's request to join the alliance.
From Britain's point of view, Ukraine belongs in NATO, but we agree with the White House we have to wait until this conflict is over.
Article 5 of NATO says that if one NATO member is attacked, then all of the rest come to their defence.
I expect that allies will agree a message which is clear on the need to move Ukraine closer to NATO.
Well, another top story we're tracking, that extreme flooding that's submerging communities across the Northeast.
We've got cars underwater here.
The storm's dropping between 5 and 10 inches of rain in some parts of New York's Hudson Valley and into western and central Massachusetts.
It's devastating.
Today's hearing is about much more than the game of golf.
Simply because Live Golf is backed by the Saudi government, which the PGA at one point cared about before this pretty stunning reversal.
And we're going to push back on everything that they try to do.
And welcome to Scripps News Live. Right now, parts of the Northeast are underwater. The storm's dropping between 5 and 10 inches of rain in some parts of New York's Hudson Valley and western and central Massachusetts. Nearly 11 million people in Vermont, New York, and Pennsylvania are under flood advisories right now. Scripps News meteorologist Scott Withers explains how they are still not out of the danger zone.
Historic rainfall, potentially catastrophic flooding. Millions of people across New England bracing for the next wave of newly created fast-rising rivers.
This is devastating. This used to be a stream, and now it's a roaring river.
So are the roads and the neighborhoods. And there's more on the way. Up to a half foot could still fall in Vermont. Up to 10 inches of rain fell in a day in parts of Pennsylvania.
Wow. Bro, I just watched my car just swim away.
Similar totals in upstate New York near the West Point Military Academy. The once-in-a-thousand-year flooding event, just a 0.1% chance that it could happen in any year.
Homes and businesses that are in low-lying areas are going to need to be lifted up. Otherwise, we're ignoring the reality that flooding is part of life now here in the state of New York.
Emergency crews rescue people from their homes and cars. But not everyone made it. At least one woman was killed in New York.
She was walking her dog across, from what we know, and got swept up by the literally rapids. It's incredible, the amount of water here.
Waterways quickly filling. The river that runs through Vermont's capital city of Montpelier set to crest at almost 20 feet.
It's not just the initial damage, it's the wave, the second wave and the third wave. And we're trying to anticipate that.
The flash flooding reminding residents of the devastating inland flooding from Hurricane Irene in 2011. It'll take days for the floodwaters to recede, but the rain has to stop first.
That was Scott Withers reporting there for us from Vermont. So Iowa passed increasingly restrictive abortion laws after last year's Supreme Court ruling overturned Roe v. Wade. Iowa is also one of the states where a new law which banned abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy failed to be upheld in court. Having sizable Republican majorities in both the state House and Senate Republican Governor Kim Reynolds calling for a special legislative session today in order to address a similar set of restrictions on abortion in Iowa. National correspondent Alex Miller has been tracking the story for us and joins us now. So Alex, Iowa's General Assembly was back at it first thing this morning. What are the latest considerations here?
Well, Veronica, it was a heated debate this morning. Democrats criticizing Governor Kim Reynolds for calling this special session over the 4th of July holiday, obviously meeting today just a couple of days after that. They say because of this short time frame, they don't really have time to review this legislation before a vote later this afternoon at 4 p.m. Local time. But they also say that they don't really have time to hear what constituents think about this. Listen.
Every time you scream freedom from your side of this chamber, your noses grow a little longer. Because this is nothing like freedom.
The conclusion is obvious and inescapable. The Republicans who are driving the process have no real interest in hearing the will of the people. The result, if adopted, will be a betrayal of democracy.
This is about democracy. This is about supporting voters, citizens, limiting debate. This is a sad, dark day for the state of Iowa. I urge a no vote.
And Veronica, this bill limits abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy. That is before many women know they're even pregnant. There is a rape exception, but there's a caveat, like one in Utah, that says this must be reported. In the state of Iowa, it would need to be reported within 45 days to either law enforcement or a private or public health agency. There is also exceptions for incest and life of the mother. But overall, Veronica, this is just simply not popular with Iowans at large. The Des Moines Register did a poll just a couple of months ago and found that 61% of Iowans believed in the right to an abortion in all or most cases. And so you can see really where that discrepancy lies as they prepare to take the vote later this afternoon. One other thing that you mentioned was that there had already been legislation that is pretty similar to the one that we're seeing. They'd already passed this. It had gone to the Iowa Supreme Court, where the justices there were divided on this and could not come to a decision about whether it should be legal, which is why we're seeing it taken up again very similarly in the Iowa legislature. There's a bigger conversation, though, to be had in this state about whether this right is protected in the state constitution.
Yeah, bigger conversation and a heated debate. In the meantime, Alex Miller live in New York for us. Alex, thank you so much. A new grand jury begins work this week in Fulton County, Georgia. It will likely decide whether former President Trump and others will be indicted for efforts to overturn his 2020 election defeat in the Peach State. Grand jurors will look at the phone call that Trump made to Georgia's Secretary of State to find 11,780 votes. They will also examine other phone calls, unproven allegations of election fraud, and a list of Republican fake electors. District Attorney Fani Willis has suggested indictments could come next month. In the meantime, lawyers for the former president and his co-defendant Walt Nauta have asked for a delay in their criminal trial for possession of classified documents at his Florida estate. Attorneys say an extraordinary amount of documents and footage needs to be examined still. Lawyers also expressed concerns over whether the former president would get a fair trial before the November 2024 elections. The Justice Department has proposed a mid-December trial date. And you can find deeper dives on all of these stories and a whole lot more online. You can check us out at scripsnews.com, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and also on Threads. Straight ahead on Scripps News Live, NATO leaders are meeting in Lithuania for a two-day summit. The major announcement that could open the door to a new member. Plus wooden machine guns and inflatable tanks. These decoy weapons are part of Ukraine's strategy to bait Russia into wasting artillery. Meet the former soldier behind the trickery. And we would like to hear from you. Give us a call on our Scripps News Viewer hotline. That number is toll-free, 1-833-4SCRIPPS. Feel free to share your comments and your story ideas.
How do you prepare for the front line?
This is not basic training.
Scripps News takes you through Ukrainian combat training.
They're here improving their skills for how to get through Russian minefields.
As Jason Bellini meets former civilians, preparing for realities of the front lines. Wednesday night at 8/7 Central on Scripps News Tonight.
I've been putting off getting life insurance, and I'm not getting any younger.
Have you been thinking about getting a life insurance plan but just keep putting it off? Was that a yes? Then this message is for you. I'm David Denowitz, and I know the importance of life insurance. And that's why I'm here to tell you it's not too late to get the coverage you need.
If you're between the ages of 45 and 85, you can get a policy with a benefit of up to $25,000 and rates available at $5 a week. The phone lines are now open. Just call 800-354-6059.
And your acceptance is guaranteed.
I have a pre-existing medical condition. Is my acceptance guaranteed?
Yes.
Can I get accepted without a medical exam?
Yes. If you're between 45 and 85, you can't be turned down for this guaranteed acceptance life insurance regardless of your health. Plus, there's no medical exam and no health questions. And rates start at just $5 a week. Remember, if you're between 45 and 85, you can't be turned down regardless of your health. Nothing's more important than family. So call now, pick up the phone, and get guaranteed acceptance life insurance today.
Just call 800-354-6059.
I'm 72 and on a fixed income. Is my acceptance guaranteed?
Yes, your acceptance is guaranteed and your rate can never go up for any reason. You can't be turned down regardless of your health. There's just one simple question. Are you between 45 and 85? If you answered yes, don't wait another minute. Call now.
The call is absolutely free and there is no obligation to enroll. Just call 800-354-6059. That's 800-354-6059.
Municipal bonds don't usually get the media coverage the stock market does. In fact, most people don't find them all that exciting. But if you're looking for the potential for consistent income that's federally tax-free, now is an excellent time to consider municipal bonds from Henyon & Walsh. If you have at least $10,000 to invest, call and talk with one of our bond specialists at 1-800-465-8465. We'll send you our exclusive bond guide, free, with details about how bonds can be an important part of your portfolio. Henyon & Walsh has specialized in fixed income and growth solutions for 30 years and offers high-quality municipal bonds from across the country. They provide the potential for regular income, are federally tax-free, and have historically low risk. Call today to request your free bond guide. 1-800-465-8465. That's 1-800-465-8465.
An overnight Russian attack is responsible for extensive damage in Ukraine's capital city. The Ukrainian military says it blasted more than 24 drones out of the sky. And you can see the debris from one of the drones right here. The debris also damaged several homes around Kyiv. This is Russia's second aerial assault this month. A Ukrainian man who'd been captured by Russia has already returned to Ukraine through a prisoner swap. Now he is back on the front line selling weapons that aren't what they appear to be. Correspondent Jason Bellini has his story now from Kyiv.
Russian video of a Lancet suicide drone costing at least $20,000, obliterating what they thought was a $13 million Leopard tank provided to Ukraine by Germany. Not so fast, says a counter video from Ukraine's 54th Mechanized Brigade. A Lancet just flew in and knocked out my wooden tank, says this soldier. I can't believe that they would bite on this bait. A decoy. While this and other photos and videos posted by Ukraine purporting to show Russian strikes biting on similar bait can't be independently verified, they comport with a strategy known to be employed by both sides. Trick your adversary into wasting their limited supply of artillery, kamikaze drones, and missiles. And in Ukraine, where so many citizens look for ways to contribute to the war effort, they can shop and donate directly to the front lines at the Smart War Store, where a man who asks us to call him Ivan serves as a customer service rep.
This mortar is made the actual size. Of course, if you stand very close, you can see that this is wooden, but it looks like a real one from a drone.
Ivan shows us wooden machine guns, anti-tank rockets, mortars. The price is clearly marked. This anti-tank grenade launcher, for example, can be purchased for around $80. Speedy delivery is assured, not to the customer's home, but to a military unit on the front line.
My task, people come and ask, what kind of device is this? I say, this is a mock-up of an anti-tank weapon. I tell them why it is needed, how it is placed, whom it will help. Here are infantry weapons, as well as mortars and anti-tank guns.
Like the decoys he's peddling, Ivan himself isn't what he appears to be.
Are you a salesman?
No, I have no financial interest. I am not a manager, and I am not a salesman. I just want to help somehow. If they just let me go to the front now, I would.
You want to be doing something?
Yes.
Since 2014, Ivan has said yes to dangerous missions as a senior Marine sergeant who fires anti-tank weaponry. At the start of the full-scale invasion last year, his unit fought to defend, unsuccessfully, Mariupol. The Russians captured him. After 9 months in captivity, he was later among those released in one of the prisoner exchanges. Since then, he's been in Kyiv receiving rehabilitation for what injuries he won't specify.
You were tortured.
Yes.
And you want to go back now and fight again?
Yes.
And risk getting captured again?
Yes.
But he says the military doesn't think he's ready. For now, this is how he contributes to the war effort.
As a child, I vacationed with my father at sea. And on the way to the beach, there was a big banner that said, "The best rest is a change of activity." I'm not someone who'd want to change my field of activity, even on vacation. So I've ended up here, in a military establishment. If I can help during these couple of months that I am in Kyiv for rehabilitation, then why not? Everything for the victory.
The decoys here are relatively small. The big guns Ukraine is using to attract Russian cruise missiles are inflatable. Purchased from Inflatech, a Czech company that says a tank can be inflated and ready for the Russians to blow up in 10 minutes. Among their dozens of offerings, decoy versions of HIMARS rockets.
If you had decoys like these a year ago in Mariupol, do you think they could have helped you avoid getting captured?
At the time when I was captured, there was only one way to escape capture: to die. If we had such decoys, we would have killed more Russians. Perhaps we could have held out longer. Decoys were needed.
Jason Bellini, Scripps News, Kyiv, Ukraine.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will attend the NATO summit in Lithuania today. The war in Ukraine is high on the agenda while NATO leaders meet over 2 days. Ukraine has continued its push to join the alliance as the war against Russia rages on in their country. It all comes after a surprising turn of events from Turkey. President Erdogan said that he will no longer block Sweden from joining the alliance, which will make the Nordic country the 32nd nation to join NATO. International correspondent Julia Chapman joining us now live from Lithuania. Julia, President Biden will be meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. What can we expect to come out of this meeting?
Well, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has expressed his frustration after the communique was issued by NATO members about what Ukraine's future membership of the bloc could look like. And the wording was as follows: that Ukraine will become a member when allies agree and conditions are met, suggesting that allies don't yet agree and the conditions haven't been met. That is certainly not what Ukraine was hoping for as the result from this summit. Volodymyr Zelensky said that Ukraine needs to be respected, that it is absurd that there is no timeline yet for Ukraine's membership. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said in a press conference this afternoon that membership of the bloc isn't about a timeline, it's about meeting conditions, and those conditions still haven't been met yet. But when President Zelensky meets Joe Biden tomorrow on the sidelines of the NATO summit, he's likely to be looking for more assurances of support and some clarity about the path to membership. But we have heard a few more details today. The NATO-Ukraine Council will be launched. Its inaugural meeting will be held tomorrow, and there will be a multi-year assistance program for Ukraine as well, aiming to integrate the country further into the architecture of the NATO alliance.
Julia, I wanted to ask you about the changes here. How big of a surprise was Turkey's decision to support Sweden's bid? What more can you tell us about the reversal and how it will end up impacting NATO going forward?
It was something of a surprise. Certainly at points on Monday, it did not look like Turkey was going to go down the path of compromise. Just before he left for Vilnius, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan started linking Sweden's NATO membership with Turkey's membership of the European Union, two completely unrelated organizations, if they do have a bit of overlap in terms of membership. So he didn't appear to be willing to compromise, but in 11th hour talks here in Vilnius last night, Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg managed to get a deal over the line, lifting Turkey's objections to Sweden's membership after over a year of diplomatic wrangling, because Turkey has accused Sweden of failing to crack down on terrorist activity. committee, but it may have been the U.S. that ultimately brought the deal to fruition, paving the way for Sweden to join. We understand that Joe Biden has suggested there will be an offer for Turkey to start buying F-16 fighter jets, something that Congress has been blocking for many years now. There will still be some political wrangling in the U.S. over that, but ultimately Sweden is now becoming the 32nd member of NATO alliance, and that will be really bolstering the alliance's defense against Russian aggression as well as other threats around the world.
That's right. And lots of changes taking place here. Julia Chapman live for us in Vilnius, Lithuania. Julia, thank you so much. Coming up next on Scripps News Live, a new study breaking down a concerning trend of students falling behind in school. After a quick break, what experts say it will take for them to catch up. Also, navigating back-to-school shopping on a budget without cutting corners on quality. We'll tell you how next.
How old are your kids that work on the farm?
Mi niño tiene 8 años, el más grande, y mi chiquitita tiene 6.
It's backbreaking labor.
Farm workers are not entitled to a fair minimum wage.
When people see a mother who puts an 8-year-old out in the fields, people may judge. And I just wonder, what do you think people should keep in mind when they hear her story?
Scripps News investigates child labor in America tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Scripps News Tonight.
This year, Americans will spend $41 billion on auto repairs.
That's right, billions with a B. Why is that number so high? Because cars break down. Your vehicle is going to end up in a shop like this too, and if it's no longer under warranty, you're the one who has to pay the bill, and it could cost you thousands of dollars. That is, unless you call CarShield. With a plan through CarShield, administrators will pay for those costly repairs directly to the mechanic of your choice, including dealerships. That means you get protection on major parts and systems like the engine, transmission, electrical systems, and more. Plus, 24/7 emergency services for flat or damaged tires, lockouts, dead batteries, and towing at no additional cost. And there are even rental car options to keep you on the road.
I've been a mechanic for 35 plus years now. I've seen thousands of repairs over the years. My happiest customers are the ones that come in who have some kind of auto protection policy that's going to cover the repair that they wasn't expecting anyway. I feel great about recommending CarShield to everybody I see.
CarShield has a rich history of dependability, reliability, and success, and has been featured on leading networks like ABC, CNN, Fox News, and more. CarShield is America's most trusted auto protection company.
My mom told me to call CarShield, and I saved $5,000. You should always listen to your mom.
As soon as my car broke down, CarShield jumped into action, and I had my car back within days.
I've been with CarShield for close to 7 years. I have 3 vehicles covered, and I saved close to $9,000.
I called CarShield and saved over $5,000.
Yes, CarShield is a good value. Every plan through CarShield comes with a price lock guarantee, which means no matter how many repairs you need, the price you pay today will never change for as long as you cover your car.
Call now and save money with your price lock guarantee. It's not a matter of if your car will break down, but when. Call CarShield now before it's too late. Call 800-287-5264. 800-287-5264. 800-287-5264.
How can a photo become a vibrant part of your home? When you go to tryfracture.com and print your images directly on glass. Get beautiful depth and clarity on a sleek frameless print that's easy to hang and looks incredible in any space. Go to tryfracture.com now to save 20% on glass prints.
When Lila was ready to sell her ring, she sent it to Worthy, where they took care of everything and auctioned it on her terms. Then, Worthy sent Lila her money. You're worthy of more. Get started at worthy.com.
There's a better way to begin your mornings.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Morning Rush. Thanks so much for being with us.
Context and conversation.
There's a new study that might make you feel a little bit better, okay? So listen to this.
On the stories that will shape each day.
Here with us now is meteorologist Scott Withers. You got just wave after wave after wave.
So you can get on with yours.
Make sure you stay with us as we monitor this developing story.
Morning Rush. Weekday mornings starting at 7/6 Central. Only on Scripps News.
A new analysis underscores the ongoing struggles for students to meet academic standards. According to the nonprofit research group NWEA, students fell further behind in their reading and math test scores last year, despite extensive efforts to help them catch up from the pandemic. Analysts say the average student will need just over 4 additional months of schooling in order to improve in reading, and then 4.5 months for math. This study echoes the findings of the nation's report card that was released last month. It shows math and reading scores among 13-year-olds had fallen to their lowest levels in decades. In just a few weeks, millions of students will be back in the classroom, and that means that parents are looking for back-to-school sales. Mary O'Connell of Scripps News Tampa found out how they are navigating those high prices.
These summer days at the park will soon turn into days in class for Lindsay Bauer's kids.
We have to make sure that we have pretty much bulk of everything.
She has 5 kids, 3 are homeschooled. That means a big school supply list, from markers to glue and everything in between.
Probably within this month. We'll start kind of looking through and looking for deals.
The National Retail Federation's June survey found 25% of back-to-school and back-to-college shoppers have already started shopping. That's up from 17% 5 years ago. Many people expect to see higher prices for things like clothing, school supplies, shoes, and electronics.
Everything's been a little bit more expensive lately, so we just try to take advantage of what's on sale and kind of look for the deals, look for things online too versus in stores at times.
The survey also found people are finding ways to stretch their dollars, like buying more generic products or using coupons more this year than in years past.
We always make everything exciting for the kids. I mean, deep down inside me, there's some rage moments where I'm just like, I need to get out of here. But other than that, I think we try to make it fun.
Renee Niedvetsky tells me he tries to find the best deals whenever he can get them.
Even like Amazon Prime right now, they're doing the 11th and 12th, they're doing their Prime sale and all that, so we're going to be hitting that up too.
And don't forget, a back-to-school sales tax holiday is coming up too. Items exempt from sales tax include most school supplies selling for $50 or less, and clothing, footwear, and accessories selling for $100 or less. That runs from July 24th through August 6th. In Pinellas County, I'm Mary O'Connell for Scripps News.
I'm Veronica Cruz. Thank you so much for being here. For the audience leaving us right now, your local programming is up next. Remember, you can always check us out on ScripsNews.com. And if you are staying with us, there's much more news headed your way on Scripps News Live, including a fight over travel expenses, why one senator put a hold on hundreds of military promotions, plus a merger that teed off some golfers now in the spotlight on Capitol Hill, why one senator says the fight is about more than just the sport of golf.
If you're living with diabetes, this is the sound that could change your life.
Great news for people living with diabetes. Now you can wear a continuous glucose monitor and eliminate routine finger sticks. The days of repeated, painful finger sticks are over.
Call 800-719-8907.
If you use insulin daily to manage your condition, a continuous glucose monitor could help you control your diabetes and reduce or eliminate those painful finger sticks. If you have Medicare or private insurance, US Med can deliver a CGM system right to your door. And if you qualify, there may be little or no cost to you. Shipping is free, and we'll even bill your insurer directly. Call now to get your continuous glucose monitoring system so you can take control of your diabetes and get back to enjoying life.
Call 800-719-8907. That's 800-719-8907.
Municipal bonds don't usually get the media coverage the stock market does. In fact, most people don't find them all that exciting. But if you're looking for the potential for consistent income that's federally tax-free, now is an excellent time to consider municipal bonds from Henyon & Walsh. If you have at least $10,000 to invest, call and talk with one of our bond specialists at 1-800-465-8465. We'll send you our exclusive bond guide, free, with details about how bonds can be an important part of your portfolio. Henyon & Walsh has specialized in fixed income and growth solutions for 30 years and offers high-quality municipal bonds from across the country. They provide the potential for regular income, are federally tax-free, and have historically low risk. Call today to request your free bond guide. 1-800-465-8465. That's 1-800-465-8465.
Hey there, welcome to Scripps News Live. I'm Veronica Cruz. Great to see you on this Tuesday. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. Let's get you caught up on the day's top stories. So it's going to take a while for Vermont and other parts of the Northeast to recover from 2 months worth of rain. 9 inches fell in Vermont in less than 3 days. The storm is moving out, but flooding remains. Interstate 89, the main road into Vermont's capital city, is still underwater right now. Vermont's governor says the flooding brings back memories of Hurricane Irene in 2011, but this system has been hanging around longer. The Biden administration wants a federal appeals court to lift a lower court order that says it infringed on free speech. The order stems from a lawsuit filed by 2 Republican state attorneys general, a conservative website owner, and 4 critics of federal COVID policies. They claim the Biden administration threatened them with regulatory action when it saw what it considers to be misinformation. A new grand jury convenes today to decide whether former President Trump and others will be indicted for efforts to overturn his 2020 election defeat in Georgia. A previous grand jury had the power to investigate, but not to indict. Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis has indicated there could be indictments as early as next month. Hundreds of U.S. military promotions on hold right now due to Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama. He objects to a policy allowing personnel seeking an abortion to be reimbursed for travel expenses if they live in a state which bans or restricts the procedure. His unprecedented hold on the military is why Air Force General Charles Brown went to the senator's office yesterday. Brown is President Biden's nominee to replace General Mark Milley as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He appeared before Tuberville and the Senate Armed Services Committee today. Congressional correspondent Stephanie Liebergen is live right now in Washington. So, Stephanie, General David Berger stepped down as Commandant of the Marine Corps yesterday, leaving the Marines essentially without a Senate-confirmed successor. Now, by law, Mark Milley has to leave the Joint Chiefs in September. Tell us more about the situation here and what happened with General Brown's meeting today.
Hey, Veronica, good afternoon. Well, General Brown nominated for the top military position in the entire country. So they really covered a range of issues in his hearing earlier today. We hit on a number of international topics, including Taiwan and Ukraine and NATO, as well as competitiveness with China, and we also heard the munitions stockpile come up a couple times. That's in relation to the arms and the equipment the United States has been sending overseas to Ukraine, the need to increase manufacturing here at home. We also got a lot of questions today during Brown's hearing about recruitment efforts in the military. Brown defended some diversity outreach efforts that the military has undergone, but then he also stressed that decisions on hiring and promotion are based on merit. They're not based on any of those diversity outreach efforts. And then, of course, there's those stalled military promotions that you mentioned. There were a couple Democrats who brought that up on the in the nomination hearing today and asked General Brown about what the impact of those really are. He said it holds up kind of the pipeline to leadership that is built into kind of the military succession. And he said that it's also important not to forget about the families of those service members whose promotions are now delayed. If you think about a family that might need to sell their home or already sold their home and has to live somewhere else temporarily, about kids that need to find a new school and spouses that might need to find a new job. He says the impact on all of those things as well, the delayed promotions really negatively impact the whole big picture. Take a listen to how he put it.
And we will lose talent because of those challenges. And the spouse network is alive and well, and the spouses will compare notes. And the member may want to serve, but the spouses and the families get a huge vote.
So the delayed promotions, he also said, hurting the recruiting efforts. And recruiting is something that the military has been struggling with in the past few years, was something we heard questions from both sides of the aisle asking about how he would go as the leader of the military about recruiting and increasing the manpower of the U.S. military.
What more can you tell us about General Brown's path to nomination? In the meantime, is he expected to be confirmed?
So it certainly seemed like that in the hearing today. There were a couple members on the Republican side who, said that it seems like he's on a path toward confirmation right now. But exactly what that path looks like is where we have a bit of that question mark. So General Brown's nomination is one that would be impacted by the hold that Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama has had on all sorts of military promotions. Now, that doesn't mean Brown can't be confirmed. It just means that he can't use a sped up or quicker timeline to kind of avoid some of this normal humdrum Senate procedures. So General Brown's nomination can move forward through the Senate. It just needs to use the regular Senate procedure and order. So it's a little unclear about when that might get started or what that full timeline might look like from beginning to end. But we do still have a little bit of time before the current chairman, Mark Milley, is due to step down at the end of September. So we've got a little time to figure it out. But certainly the expectation is that General Brown will get that Senate floor confirmation.
All right, Stephanie Lieberman reporting live from Capitol Hill. Stephanie, thank you so much for the update there. So senators now have a date on when to take up a Democratic-led Supreme Court ethics bill. The Senate Judiciary Committee is set to vote on the legislation July 20th. It would establish new rules for reporting gifts, income, and travel. It would also create a system to investigate code of conduct violations. This is the first bill responding to reports of justices' relationships with Republican mega donors. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the High Court should not be exempt from meeting high ethical standards.
Sadly, Americans' faith in the judiciary is at an all-time low after the extreme MAGA right captured the Supreme Court. In the last few weeks, this MAGA majority on the court has gutted affirmative action, blocked student debt relief for millions of Americans, and greenlit discrimination against the LGBTQ community. What we're seeing at the Supreme Court is a sickening hypocrisy, as some justices feel free to accept lavish gifts and vacations from billionaire friends. Congress has clear authority to oversee the federal judiciary, and that includes making sure that the highest court in the land is held to equally high ethical standards.
Meanwhile, Republicans are criticizing the legislation. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says Democrats are using their bill as an attempt to restructure the High Court.
In response, Washington Democrats offered a fresh example of just how profoundly they misunderstand the court and its role in our government. The president, who has flirted with calls for court packing, warned ominously that a co-equal branch was not a normal court. The Democratic leader, who threatened justices by name from the steps of the court, branded it as MAGA. And this month, the Judiciary Committee will attempt to force the court to restructure itself in the name of ethics.
If the ethics bill makes it to the Senate floor, Democrats may not have enough support to advance it. The legislation requires 60 votes to overcome any filibuster attempt. Democrats control 51 votes. Right now, Senate committee is looking into the recent partnership between the PGA and Live Golf leagues. We're going to give you a live look right here at the hearing that is taking place right now. Two executives from the PGA Tour testifying. No one from Live Golf, including CEO Greg Norman, will be attending. It's been more than a month now since the PGA Tour and Live Golf announced their merger, and the partnership has been causing controversy among many Americans because the Saudi government backs Live Golf. Our Deputy Political Director Joe St. George joins us now live from Washington. All right, Joe, I understand that the hearing is continuing right now. We were just looking at some live pictures there. What has stood out to you so far?
Well, I think it's important for people to know this is not just a hearing on golf. What's happening today in the halls of Congress is a conversation that's been happening on sports talk radio, certainly in the golf world for months. The role of Saudi Arabia in the future of professional golf. Live Golf, founded last year, funded by Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, a $600 billion fund funded mostly from the country's oil profits. The accusations by some is that Saudi Arabia is trying to do something known as sports washing, which is a relatively new term to refer to a country or a corporation that may not have a great reputation and try to use sports to improve that reputation. We have covered for years now here on Scripps News the accusations of human rights abuses that Saudi Arabia has faced. That's the backdrop for today's hearing and the concerns from some lawmakers that the PGA Tour shouldn't merge with Live Golf and they shouldn't allow Saudi Arabia to have such a large influence in the world of professional golf going forward. Here's a snippet of the hearing from a short time ago.
Today's hearing is about much more than the game of golf. It's about how a brutal, repressive regime can buy influence, indeed even take over a cherished American institution to cleanse its public image.
The dispute was undermining growth of our sport and was threatening the very survival of the PGA Tour, and it was unsustainable. While we had significant wins in litigation, our players, our fans, our partners, our employees, our charities, and the communities we support would lose in the long run.
PGA Tour making clear in front of senators today that they just couldn't compete with Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, and that's what prompted this merger. They also emphasize that they're going to maintain control of their own entity, although some lawmakers dispute that. This hearing did attract some controversy, and it attracted the attention of some families, victims of the 9/11, September 11th attacks, who believe Saudi Arabia played a role in that attack. Saudi Arabia has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing. Brett Eagleson spoke with us a short time ago about why he came down from Connecticut to attend today's hearing in person.
This is not about golf. This is about the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's attempt to distract the American public from its role in 9/11. And we're going to see them in the halls of Congress, we're going to go on TV, we're going to fund campaigns, and we're going to be loud and vocal, and we're going to push back on everything that they try to do. They need to be held accountable.
Short time ago, Senator Ron Johnson, the Republican senator from Wisconsin, speaking to Scripps News that he believes this merger could actually help Saudi Arabia improve its human rights record.
If Saudi investment in sports worldwide, including golf, if that helps Saudi Arabia modernize, if it helps them provide more rights to women, I mean, wouldn't that be a good thing?
There's no indication if this merger will actually happen. We do know the Department of Justice is looking into it as well, and the PGA Tour players, they still need to sign off on this in the end. But certainly a lot of talking about sports and golf here on Capitol Hill on a Tuesday. Back to you.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out. Joe St. George live for us there in Washington. Joe, thank you so much. Straight ahead on Scripps News Live, are you having trouble finding a new car? Well, you aren't alone. Why experts say that getting a new ride is hard and when it could get easier. That's next.
Welcome to this year's cheese rolling competition.
Who will catch the cheese and win the $500 prize? They are lined up, and let's roll it!
Ooh, looks like we got a first-timer coming down the hill now.
Is a leg supposed to bend that way?
Not naturally. Yeah, look at them go.
Barrel rolling down the hill.
That's going to leave a mark.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's not so easy to get a quick $500, is it?
No, it's not, Dan.
There's an easier way you can get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less when you download Dave.
When Lila was ready to sell her ring, she sent it to Worthy, where they took care of everything and auctioned it on her terms. Then, Worthy sent Lila her money. You're worthy of more. Get started at worthy.com.
Do you have a box of videotapes, film reels, or photos that are degrading?
Legacy Box professionally converts them to DVDs, thumb drive, or the cloud.
Legacy Box is simple and safe, with over 1 million satisfied customers.
Visit legacybox.com.
Tens of thousands of customers wrote about Carvana being fast in their 5-star reviews, including Sheena.
This was our second purchase through Carvana. It was super easy and really fast. This time we traded in a car and couldn't believe how easy it was. And we found the car our family really needed, and in red. Next thing I know, our new car was here, and our trade-in was gone. Bye! Ta-da! I literally tell people all the time how fast and easy Carvana is.
Buy your car with Carvana today.
At first, just leaving the house was hard.
But When a Warrior project helps you realize it's possible to get out there.
To feel a sense of camaraderie again.
To find the tools to live life better.
Through generous community support, we've connected warriors and their families with no-cost physical and mental health services, legislative advocacy, career assistance, and life skill training for 20 years. And we're just getting started.
Sure, you should teach him to ride a bike. Then use Greenlight and teach him how to invest in bikes. Teach him to be smart about money, and he'll go far.
Super far! Oh, hey, Mom!
Navigate the world of money together. Invest in your best investment. Greenlight.
How old are your kids that work on the farm?
Mi niño tiene 8 años, el más grande, y mi chiquitito tiene 6.
Scripps News investigates child labor in America tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Scripps News Tonight.
Hey there, welcome back to Scripps News Live. I'm Veronica Cruz. We brought you no shortage of stories about how inflation has resisted the efforts of the Federal Reserve to tame it. Numbers show the Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach area has the highest inflation rate of all U.S. metro areas. It stands at 9%, which is twice the national average. Housing costs are a major reason. Florida's population grew the most of any state from July 2021 to July 2022. So shopping for a new car in the meantime can be pretty frustrating, especially for people looking for certain makes and models. Brian Horwath with Scripps News Las Vegas takes a look at when things might get a little easier.
Remember around the pandemic when new cars were so difficult to find? Well, there's still inventory problems with the car industry. For instance, if you want a new Prius like this one, you might have to wait a few months to get it.
It can get pricey, but it's exciting because you're getting a new car.
Back when the pandemic was disrupting so many norms of American life, the process of buying a new car was also disrupted. COVID-19, along with supply chain slowdowns in the car-making process, were to blame, specifically semiconductor chips used for a vehicle's computer system. While that bottleneck eventually improved, it still persists, says Andy McKay of the Nevada Franchised Auto Dealers Association, and it's not just chips.
Components, plastics, leathers, vinyls, et cetera, but chips still are the predominant driving factor with respect to interruptions in vehicle production.
Most of the chips are made in China or Taiwan, though the U.S. has started to build more production facilities in recent years. John Barr, general manager at Findlay Toyota, says customers will in many cases have to wait weeks or months for the specific new vehicle they want.
We anticipated 3 years ago that this was going to go on for a few months and then for a year. Well, here we are 3 years later, and the situation's still going on.
The supply shortages can change too on a monthly basis, Barr says.
We've had an issue with keys and making keys. We've had the issue with the chip, of course. We had some issues with, I guess, oil, believe it or not, and foam for seats in vehicles.
These days, on a busy holiday weekend, there can be at times as few as 10 to 15 new vehicles available for sale on the lot at Findlay Toyota. It's similar at other dealerships in the Valley, too. At one Ford dealership, an official told us the wait for specific new F-150s and Expeditions can be up to 6 months. So is this a new normal?
I would be shocked if you ever saw inventory numbers like you did up to the start of the pandemic.
And that was Brian Horwath reporting there for us from Las Vegas. Okay, if you're looking for a free treat to cool you off on a hot summer day, you are in luck because today is July 11th, or 7-Eleven, otherwise known as Free Slurpee Day. The convenience store chain 7-Eleven is celebrating its 96th birthday. And in a tradition that dates back to 2002, customers can get a free 12-ounce Slurpee. 7-Elevens are ubiquitous in some states. California has nearly 2,000 of them, the most in the country. But 18 states have no 7-Elevens at all. Hopefully we have one here, and my son will be so excited. Coming up next on Scripps News Live, a game that's been around since the 18th century is now getting an update. How robots are changing one of America's favorite pastimes.
As Americans, there's one thing we can all agree on: the promise of our Constitution and the hope that liberty and justice is for all people. But here's the truth. Attacks on our constitutional rights, yours and mine, are greater than they've ever been. The right for all to vote, reproductive rights, the rights of immigrant families, the right to equal justice for Black, brown, and LGBTQ+ folks. The time to act to protect our rights is now. That's why I'm hoping you'll join me today in supporting the American Civil Liberties Union. It's easy to make a difference. Just call or go online now and become an ACLU Guardian of Liberty. All it takes is just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day. Your monthly support will make you part of the movement to protect the rights of all people, including the fundamental right to vote.
States are passing laws that would suppress the right to vote. We are going backwards.
But the ACLU can't do this important work without the support of people like you. You can help ensure liberty and justice for all and make sure that every vote is counted. So please call the ACLU now or go to myaclu.org and join us. And when you use your credit card, you'll receive this special We the People t-shirt and much more to show you're a part of the movement to protect the rights guaranteed to all of us by the U.S. Constitution.
We protect everyone's rights. The freedom of religion, the freedom of expression, racial justice, LGBTQ rights, the rights of the disabled. We are here for everyone.
It is more important than ever to take a stand. So please join us today, because we the people means all the people, including you. So call now or go online to myaclu.org to become a Guardian of Liberty.
How does Klein Inspector get among the most big verdicts and settlements of any law firm in the country? Because Klein Inspector is an award-winning team with 5 doctor lawyers, the most of any firm in the United States. And that's why the New York Times calls Klein Inspector a powerhouse law firm. So if a defective product, motor vehicle accident, or medical malpractice caused a catastrophic injury, call Klein Inspector.
For over 100 years, this light has shined, a beacon of the free American press.
Reporting from Ukraine, Scripps News.
And now, this light shines even brighter. Scripps News.
He did not do it. Oh, my. Vlad Guerrero Jr. will hang on and win
The 2023 MLB Home Run Derby was full of excitement last night. Julio Rodriguez of the hometown Mariners setting the record for most home runs in a single round with 41. But he didn't make the final round. Vlad Guerrero Jr. of the Toronto Blue Jays was this year's home run winner. His father won in 2007, making them the first father-son combo to ever win the competition. And when asked if he thought that he would join his dad in the Hall of Fame one day, he said that, "I'm a bit too young to think about that right now." Congratulations. So umpires have played a major role in baseball since the very beginning, but they are still humans that have to make split-second decisions, sometimes missing calls. National correspondent Maritza Giorgio shows us how their role, at least at the minor league level, is all starting to change.
It's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out. Or was that a ball?
We have our first challenge here at Smith's Ballpark.
You heard that right. A challenge on a strike in baseball. Unheard of.
I'm used to the umpires calling balls and strikes, but also I'm used to when the umpires call it a ball or a strike. It's either this or that. There's no in between.
Up until now, Hawkeye technology being tested at AAA ballparks, the highest level of minor league baseball, aims to call balls and strikes with more precision.
I know it just seems like a 9-inning game for a fan, but when you actually kind of dive into the game within the game, each pitch is important.
The technology basically takes what home viewers see as a graphic on TV and turns it into a real-time experience for players, coaches, and umpires. It's all about the strike zone.
It's the most important piece of real estate in our game.
Daniel Murphy would know. The three-time MLB All-Star came out of retirement earlier this year and signed a minor league deal with the Angels in June.
I'm not opposed to change. We're an entertainment industry, and if the public isn't enjoying our product, then we need to make it more entertaining.
And it is a change for AAA teams this season. For one, the ABS technology reduced the size of the strike zone.
It's a lot tighter side to side, and it's a lot tighter north and south, especially the top of the zone. Normally the top of the zone was viewed as like maybe the belly button, but anything above the belt is not even close to being a strike now. So it's very eye-opening.
When you're talking about an absolute strike zone, those millimeters and centimeters, they make a huge difference, especially for me as a pitcher.
AAA teams are also testing two ways of using the technology, which relies on multiple cameras. Tuesdays through Thursdays, the ABS system calls every ball. On the weekends, umpires call the pitches, but a team gets 3 challenges per game.
The challenge is really fun too, and they put it up on the scoreboard and it shows the ball coming down and replay, and it builds a lot of tension seeing the ball get closer to the strike zone.
Here's how the challenge works. If a catcher, pitcher, or batter thinks an ump's call was wrong, they tap their head. They have to do it within 2 seconds of the call. They can't look back at the dugout.
It gives the players a little bit of ownership too. There's some strategy to it, whether you use it early in a game, what type of count, what situation with guys on base. So that plays a lot into it.
Within about 20 seconds, an ABS tech in the video boardroom launches an animation that shows where the ball passed through the strike zone. An automated system relays the call to an umpire through their earpiece.
Failed challenge by Ford.
They're good about challenges. They don't get their feelings hurt or anything because they want to get it right just as much as we want them to be right.
The art of umpiring, which is not talked about a whole lot because it's made to be about the players and things like that, but these guys have a craft as well. They work hard at it.
So is this technology ready to take the field in big league play?
Every Bees player we talked to here in Salt Lake City agree the challenge system is the future.
Guys in there generally like the challenge system better just because there is that human element. Framing still matters. The umpires are still calling the game, but they're held accountable at the same time. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. Creates a little bit of fan excitement,
Fan reactions are a mixed bag.
As a human, we make errors, so that's play the game perfectly.
It takes away the human part of it, but the bad calls that ruin a game for you aren't fun.
I'm not a fan of it.
Players and coaches we talked to said you can still be a baseball purist and embrace the change.
It's still the same baseball we know to love, just speeding it up a little bit, making it more entertaining for a younger generation.
The game has always changed, and there's always room for an improvement. But you have to do it within respect to the past and how the game was played.
Maritza Giorgio, Scripps News, Salt Lake City.
Wow. Thank you so much for watching Scripps News Live. I'm Veronica Dela Cruz. For the audience leaving us right now, your local programming is up next. And don't forget, you can always check us out on scripsnews.com. Now, if you are staying with us, we have much more news headed your way right now on Scripps News Live. We'll be right back.
Attention all seniors. You can now get up to $50,000 for your funeral and other final expenses, including your credit card debt, with no medical exam, starting at less than $1 a day.
Oh, honey, your dad and I can't stop talking about this baby that's coming.
We've also been thinking a lot about our future, and no matter what, we want to make sure we aren't leaving you and your family with any of our debts.
Just last week, we read that the price of a funeral can be $8,000 or more.
Wow, Jeff and I definitely would not have the money to pay for that.
And that's just a funeral. But you don't have to worry. We called, and with one phone call, we were eligible for $50,000 for our funeral and final expenses.
Well, that's great, but don't you need to take a medical exam to qualify? You and Mom have some health issues.
No, there's no medical exam, and we were able to get coverage right over the phone.
And our rates can never be increased, our benefits can never be decreased, and our coverage can never be canceled.
I'm so glad you made that call.
Don't leave loved ones with your debt. Call 800-293-5789 now and see if you qualify for up to $50,000 for your funeral and other final expenses, starting at less than $1 a day. There's no medical exam, and you can be approved even if you have pre-existing health conditions. Your rates can never be increased, your benefits can never be decreased, and your coverage can never be canceled. There's no obligation. Call 800-293-5789 now. There's no paperwork, no hidden fees, and no waiting periods. And you can start coverage right over the phone, starting at less than $1 a day. Call 800-293-5789. That's 800-293-5789. 800-293-5789.
Hey there, thank you so much for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon. It is now nearly 1 p.m. in the east, 10 a.m. out west. It's great to see you. I'm Veronica Cruz. Welcome to Scripps News Live. The concern over artificial intelligence is growing almost as quickly as the technology itself. This afternoon, the Senate will be holding a classified briefing on artificial intelligence, and it will be the second time the Senate is going to hear about it. But this briefing is so sensitive, it will be the first held in a classified setting. Congressional correspondent Nathaniel Reed joins us now live from Capitol Hill. All right, Nate, I want to ask you specifically about the timing here. Why now? And what is this briefing going to touch on specifically?
Well, I think the fact that the hearing is happening this week is just representing the fact that this is a growing issue that senators are increasingly looking to address. Senate Majority Leader Schumer has made it no secret that this is one of his priorities, somehow addressing artificial intelligence. For that reason, he's engaging in these series of briefings with all senators. Today will be the first time that all senators will have in U.S. history a classified briefing on artificial intelligence, specifically the implications it has for national security. The briefers will include Kathleen Hicks, one of the Deputy Secretary, of Defense, as well as Avril Haines, the Director of National Intelligence for the Biden administration. Senate Majority Leader Schumer previewed what this classified hearing is going to look like earlier on the Senate floor. Take a listen.
Congress to work on artificial intelligence is to enter uncharted territory. AI is not like other issues Congress deals with. It's not like appropriations or health care or defense, where we have decades of experience to lean on. Quite the contrary. In the hands of autocrats or foreign adversaries, or domestic rogue actors interested in political chaos or financial gain, the dangers of AI could be extreme.
And Senate Majority Leader Schumer saying that this fall he'll also invite top AI experts to the Capitol to talk about their expertise so that the Senate can decide whether they want to legislate on this issue. This is going to be something that is going to have growing focus on Capitol Hill as the proliferation of AI continues throughout this country. Majority Leader Schumer making very clear this is going to be a key focus of the Senate with this briefing later today. Again, it is a classified briefing which is going to take place in a secure compartmentalized information facility, a SCIF, meaning that no reporters will be allowed in. We'll be sure, though, to ask about what they learned in this briefing and curious to hear what the concerns are with AI as it continues its proliferation across the U.S.
Yeah, Nate, we know that Europe has already passed laws in regards to artificial intelligence, so it will be interesting to see what the United States does next. Nathaniel Reed reporting live from Washington. Nate, thank you so much. So Iowa, in the meantime, is one of the states that passed increasingly restrictive abortion laws in the wake of last year's Supreme Court ruling that overturned Roe v. Wade. Iowa is also one of the states where a new law, which banned abortions after 6 weeks, failed to be upheld in court. Having sizable Republican majorities in the state House and Senate, Republican Governor Kim Reynolds called for a special legislative session today to readdress a similar set of restrictions on abortion. National political correspondent Alex Miller has been tracking the story for us and joins us now live. So Alex, Iowa's General Assembly was back at it early this morning. What more can you tell us about this special session?
Yeah, Veronica, it was a heated morning this morning. They were not supposed to be there, but Governor Reynolds called this special session over the 4th of July holiday, which is one of the big concerns from Democrats. They say there wasn't enough time, that they made this announcement when a lot of people, frankly, were on vacation. And so they believe that there isn't enough time to debate this bill that's going to be voted on this afternoon. Not enough time to get the public's input, though I will say at the beginning of the meeting earlier this morning, there were people, representatives on both sides, able to talk about their concerns or their advocacy for this bill. But overall, Democrats say that they don't believe that the public is really going to be able to weigh in. Listen.
Time you scream freedom from your side of this chamber, your noses grow a little longer. Because this is nothing like freedom.
The conclusion is obvious and inescapable. The Republicans who are driving the process have no real interest in hearing the will of the people. The result, if adopted, will be a betrayal of democracy.
This is about democracy. This is about supporting voters, citizens, limiting debate. This is a sad, dark day for the state of Iowa. I urge a no vote.
And Veronica, this bill would ban abortion after 6 weeks. That's when most women don't even know they're pregnant yet. They had previously had a 20-week abortion ban. Now, this ban does make an exception for incest, for life of the mother, and it does make an exception for rape. But like another state, like Utah, there is a caveat to this. In Iowa, if this bill is to be passed, the woman would need to report a rape within 45 days to either law enforcement or to a public or private health agency in order for that exception to really go through. And that is really the crux of where the frustration is for the pro-choice community. They say that under these circumstances, that this is just not a popular move. The Des Moines Register recently did a survey about this and found that 61% of Iowans support abortion, either in all cases or in most cases. So they say this is in stark contrast. But we know, as you mentioned, that the legislature is overwhelmingly Republican, and that is why they're back here. They had originally passed a piece of legislation, and it had gone to the Iowa Supreme Court, banning abortion after 6 weeks. The Iowa Supreme Court could not come to a decision on that, and that is why they are back at the drawing board again and really debating whether this is a protection upheld by the state's constitution.
All right, Alex Miller live in New York. Alex, thank you so much for the update there. So one of two grand juries seated in Georgia today will likely consider whether to indict former President Trump. Fulton County DA Fani Willis has been investigating if Trump or his allies tried to overturn the state's 2020 election results. Deputy Political Director Joe St. George has details now on this latest development and more on Mr. Trump's legal troubles.
Not one, but two grand juries in Fulton County, Georgia, set to be selected today. Why does that matter? Well, it's very possible that one of those two grand juries is asked to potentially indict former President Donald Trump. The case in Fulton County, very different from the previous indictments involving the former president. The indictment by the Manhattan District Attorney earlier this year, that was related to business records. The indictment by the special counsel in Miami just a few weeks back, that was related to classified documents. What's going on in Fulton County is related very much to the 2020 election and that leaked audio recording in which the former president allegedly asked the Secretary of State then in Georgia to find votes to help him stay in the presidency in January of 2021.
There's nothing wrong with saying that, that you've recalculated. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have.
Why is there so much focus on Fulton County now? Well, that's because the district attorney there asked the court system to have many of its workers work remotely between January 31st and August 18th. That suggests that a major event would be coming to the Fulton County court system, and an indictment of a former president would be classified as a major event. Again, the charges potentially in Fulton County very different from the indictment in Manhattan and the indictment in Miami. That isn't the only legal news involving the former president. Today, late last night, former President Trump's legal team asking the federal judges in South Florida to delay his expected trial in that classified documents case, essentially saying in court paperwork confirmed by Scripps News that having a trial so quickly would be an unrealistic expectation. All of this not impacting the presidential race. Former President Donald Trump remains the frontrunner for the Republican nomination. But again, more indictments could very much be possible, which is why now all eyes shift to Georgia. Joe St. George, Scripps News, Washington.
A growing number of Americans don't feel financially stable. Up next, why many don't see their personal financial woes changing anytime soon. Also, Floridians feeling the pinch at the pump and in the housing market. Coming up after a quick break, a look at how inflation has been impacting the Sunshine State. And don't forget, you can count on Scripps News for all of your news throughout the primetime hours, beginning at 6 Eastern.
How old are your kids that work on the farm?
Mi niño tiene 8 años, el más grande, y mi chiquitito tiene 6.
It's backbreaking labor.
Farm workers are not entitled to a fair minimum wage.
When people see a mother who puts an 8-year-old out in the fields, people may judge. And I just wonder, what do you think people should keep in mind when they hear her story?
Scripps News investigates child labor in America tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Scripps News Tonight.
Sure, you'll teach her how to drive a car. Then use Greenlight to power her independence with crash detection with 911 dispatch, family location sharing, and emergency SOS alerts. Invest in your best investment with Greenlight.
We're back. Jesse, for $500. Let's find out. Can you take it? You're going to want this.
What?
Start the clock and go. Hair from the drain. My drain. That rap song you recorded in secret. Yikes. Ooh, salmon. We heard you're allergic.
I can't take it.
Oh, Mimi, you ready? No.
There's an easier way you can get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less when you download Dave.
When Lila was ready to sell her ring, she sent it to Worthy, where they took care of everything and auctioned it on her terms. Then, Worthy sent Lila her money. You're worthy of more. Get started at worthy.com.
You ever feel like you're stuck in debt? Hi, Jacko here from Debt Blue, and yeah, I know all about getting stuck to things.
Makes me just want to curl up and hide.
But there's good news. Debt can be fixed faster, easier, and with less stress when you use Debt Blue.
The stress from debt can be overwhelming and wreak havoc on your life.
Don't go it alone. With Debt Blue's Success Guarantee, it doesn't cost anything unless your debt is reduced or completely resolved. So there's absolutely no risk. See for yourself how easy it is to get started with free information. There are no upfront costs.
So if you're stuck in a cycle of debt, come out of hiding and give Debt Blue a call right now. Let us show you how 10 minutes could save you thousands
And help get you unstuck.
Call 1-888-279-1982. That's 1-888-279-1982 today.
There's a new victim of identity theft every 3 seconds. And checking your credit score or bank statements may not be enough to alert you. That's because identity threats appear in more places than you realize. Identity thieves can use your information to open loans, transfer home titles, even commit crimes.
Someone stole my information and tried to buy a car in my name.
LifeLock monitors for threats to your identity, including ones you may miss, and alerts you if there's an issue. And if you're a victim, your dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it.
If something happens, you have somebody fighting for you.
All plans backed by LifeLock's $1 Million Protection Package, including reimbursement for stolen funds.
I know LifeLock has me covered.
LifeLock. Identity theft protection starts here. Call the number on your screen or visit lifelock.com/25now and use promo code 25now to save 25% on your first year of identity theft protection. Enroll now.
President Biden kicking off his 2024 presidential campaign touting his economic accomplishments like more jobs and easing inflation. But new data out from the website Bankrate shows that more than 2/3 of Americans right now feel that they are not financially stable, and many don't expect that to change. National correspondent Stephen Graddick explains what's holding people back from feeling good about their finances.
The state of the U.S. economy is taking its toll on workers, with just over a quarter of adults feeling completely financially secure.
Americans are feeling like they're priced out of America.
Bankrate analyst Sarah Foster, who authored a new report on financial freedom, says financial comfort comes at a high cost.
College tuition has nearly doubled over the past 20 years. Home prices have soared and wages haven't kept up. The average American says they need to earn about $233,000 a year just to feel comfortable.
In the survey, Americans said they needed to make twice that amount, roughly $483,000 on average, to feel rich and financially comfortable.
You would hope to be able to be in this position where you can afford both your everyday essentials, but also the ability to treat yourself every now and then. So we would call that financial security.
Foster says most Americans surveyed blame their financial insecurity on factors outside of their control, like high inflation, the broader economic environment, and rising interest rates. Financial literacy is also an issue.
Pretty close to 2 in 5 Americans also were pointing fingers at insufficient emergency funds, insufficient retirement funds.
There were gaps across genders and races, with white men and boomers listed as the most likely to feel completely financially secure. On the other hand, Black Americans said they needed $322,000 a year to feel comfortable, which is 44% higher than the salaries white Americans said they required to feel stable.
This is really a story of these long-standing wealth gaps. Everybody is starting from a different starting point, and what that results in is it just becomes harder for you to even manage becoming financially comfortable.
But Foster adds, more money won't necessarily fix the problem Americans are facing, because the more money people make, the more money they need to keep up with increasingly pricey lifestyles.
72% of Americans plan to increase their discretionary spending when they get a raise. But if you're saddled with credit card debt, if you're saddled with student loan debt, if you're having to, pay more a month in bills, that could ultimately impact your lack of financial security too.
Foster adds, it's never too late to start planning for your financial future. She recommends building a habit of making small, manageable savings for emergencies and making sure you're investing savings for retirement as soon as possible. Stephen Graddick, Scripps News.
So we have brought you no shortage of stories about how inflation has resisted the efforts of the Federal Reserve to tame it. Numbers show the Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach area has the highest inflation rate of all U.S. metro areas, and it stands at 9%. Which is twice the national average right now, 4%. Housing costs are a major reason behind that. Florida's population growing the most of any state from July 2021 to July 2022. And expenses are rising for drivers in Florida, and it's not just the pain at the pump. Jessica Bruno with Scripps News West Palm Beach says that car insurance in the Sunshine State is also sky high.
The average price of a gallon of gas in Florida is now $3.46, but it's much higher in many parts of Palm Beach County. Here it's closer to $3.60, and that's only one reason why drivers in Florida are feeling the pinch right now.
Yeah, I see that it went up $5, $6 to fill a tank.
Pain at the pump.
Just get used to the hikes and just come to expect it.
Floridians are now paying almost $3.50 per gallon on average, a summertime high. Drivers in West Palm Beach and Boca Raton, though, are faring even worse, shelling out the highest prices in the state.
We saw about a 20-cent increase last week. In early June, we saw a 15-cent increase. Not uncommon to see something like this happen during the summer travel season with so many people hitting the road.
AAA spokesperson Mark Jenkins says last week's increase comes on the heels of the 4th of July holiday, which is pretty typical. However, he says this hike is pretty mild compared to last summer.
Last year, the average price reached a high of $4.89. I wouldn't expect us to get anywhere near that price this year.
That's a bit of good news for drivers who are already feeling financially stressed, with insurance rates also soaring. According to Bankrate.com, in Florida, car insurance premiums have increased 15% year on year, now averaging almost $4,000 for full coverage, making the Sunshine State the most expensive in the nation for auto insurance.
My insurance premium did go up, actually.
How much did it go up by?
Went up like $600 a year.
So with rates expected to keep increasing through the end of 2024, Floridians we spoke with are hoping the price of fuel at least stays steady.
But we need gas, so, what can we do,
Reporting in West Palm Beach, I'm Jessica Bruno.
Bank regulators have come down hard on Bank of America. They say the second largest bank in the country opened fake accounts and charged illegal junk fees. They ordered the bank to reimburse $100 million to customers and another $150 million in fines. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau says in some cases, the bank charged customers for the same fees more than once, and the bank withheld cash rewards. Coming up next, health experts issuing a stern warning about a new energy drink that's popular with teenagers and children.
It can give them jitters, nervousness. It can interfere with the sleep cycle, which is so important to the developing brain.
Coming up next on Scripps News Live, the push for the FDA to investigate the Prime energy drink. Also, a quick reminder right here, you can find our stories and much more online. Check us out right now, scripsnews.com. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We're also on Threads.
How do you prepare for the front line?
This is not basic training.
Scripps News takes you through Ukrainian combat training.
They're here improving their skills for how to get through Russian minefields.
As Jason Bellini meets former civilians, preparing for realities of the front lines. Wednesday night at 8/7 Central on Scripps News Tonight.
I've been putting off getting life insurance, and I'm not getting any younger.
Have you been thinking about getting a life insurance plan but just keep putting it off? Was that a yes? Then this message is for you. I'm David Denowitz, and I know the importance of life insurance. And that's why I'm here to tell you it's not too late to get the coverage you need.
If you're between the ages of 45 and 85, you can get a policy with a benefit of up to $25,000 and rates available at $5 a week. The phone lines are now open. Just call 800-354-6059.
And your acceptance is guaranteed.
I have a pre-existing medical condition. Is my acceptance guaranteed?
Yes.
Can I get accepted without a medical exam?
Yes. If you're between 45 and 85, you can't be turned down for this guaranteed acceptance life insurance regardless of your health. Plus, there's no medical exam and no health questions. And rates start at just $5 a week. Remember, if you're between 45 and 85, you can't be turned down regardless of your health. Nothing's more important than family. So call now, pick up the phone, and get guaranteed acceptance life insurance today.
Just call 800-354-6059.
I'm 72 and on a fixed income. Is my acceptance guaranteed?
Yes, your acceptance is guaranteed, and your rate can never go up for any reason. You can't be turned down regardless of your health. There's just one simple question. Are you between 45 and 85? If you answered yes, don't wait another minute. Call now.
The call is absolutely free, and there is no obligation to enroll. Just call 800-354-6059. That's 800-354-6059.
I got the groceries.
You were just supposed to get diapers.
Couldn't find them.
Well, you found your favorite cereal. Go back.
Can't. We're kind of broke until payday.
Well, diapers kind of can't wait. I'm getting the Empower app. Empower Cash Advance gives me up to $250 instantly. No late fees, interest, or credit checks.
Hurry back.
No guarantees. Diapers are so hard to find.
Get Empower Cash Advance up to $250 instantly. Download the Empower app today.
Sunday nights on In Real Life.
For the baby?
Yeah.
Scripps News journalists take you off the grid.
We were just a bunch of kids with a camera.
Stunts have become more specialized.
And to the heart of the story.
When the pandemic hit, the American dream kind of changed.
There were a lot of warning signs. They just didn't care.
In real life, Sunday at 8, 7 Central, only on Scripps News.
And a quick reminder right here, we would like to hear from you. You can give us a call on our Scripps News viewer hotline toll free. That number is on your screen right now. It's 1-833-4-SCRIPPS. Feel free to share your comments and your story ideas. So the newest energy drink sweeping the market right now is causing a stir in Washington. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer asking the FDA to investigate Prime Energy drink. Schumer says its popularity is high among children. Prime is among a growing number of new energy drinks with larger amounts of caffeine. Science and health correspondent Lizzie Thies has the details on the controversy.
This viral energy drink called Prime Energy, it came out this year and it has the same caffeine amount as about 2 cups of coffee. The American Academy of Pediatrics says that no child under 12 years old should drink caffeine whatsoever, and that 12 to 18-year-olds should drink no more than about 100 milligrams a day, and that is about a cup of coffee's worth. The stimulant impacts their bodies quicker than adults. Senator Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is calling for regulators to take a hard look at Prime Energy drink.
Asking the FDA to investigate Prime for, number one, its claims, number two, its marketing aimed at kids, and number three, its eye-popping caffeine content.
Last year, we introduced Prime Hydration.
This year, we're introducing a brand new product, Prime Energy.
YouTube star Logan Paul is the face behind Prime Sports and Energy drinks. The drink is popular, more than 116.8 million views for the term Prime Energy on TikTok, and more than 78 million views on TikTok for a meme, "We Got Prime Boys."
They are Prime Boys. We as physicians are very concerned. These drinks and the amount of caffeine in these drinks can give children and teens headaches. It can give them jitters, nervousness. It can interfere with the sleep cycle, which is so important to the developing brain.
A 12-ounce can of Prime Energy contains 200 milligrams of caffeine, compared to other popular or growing energy drinks. It's about twice as much as a 12-ounce can of Red Bull, the same as a 12-ounce can of Celsius Original drink, and less than a 16-ounce can of Bang Energy drink. Some schools in the UK and Australia have banned Prime Energy. Scripps News reached out to reps for Paul, Prime Drinks, and their co-owner and manufacturers, Congo Brands. A media rep for Prime responded with a statement noting the importance of the difference between their sports drink and energy drinks, also saying in part their energy drink has a warning label and is not made for anyone under 18. Adding, quote, "We welcome discussions with the FDA or any other organization regarding suggested industry changes they feel are necessary in order to protect consumers," end quote. The FDA considers energy drinks a conventional beverage, not a dietary supplement. And the FDA and the USDA, they right now don't have a limit or a restriction for how much is too much when we're talking about caffeine in an energy drink. The FDA does, though, have some suggestions, no more than 400 milligrams a day. That's for healthy adults. In terms of what that 400 milligrams looks like, that's roughly 4 cups of coffee, about 10 cans of regular soda, or 2 cans of certain energy drinks. Lindsay Thies, Scripps News, San Francisco.
The king of beers was dethroned again. For the second month in a row, Modelo Especial outsold Bud Light. Bud Light had held that top spot for nearly 20 years, but sales dropped off after a social media promotion with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. Now, despite a new marketing campaign to bounce back, sales of Bud Light and Budweiser dropped 28% and nearly 12% from a year earlier. I'm Veronica Cruz for the audience leaving us right now. Your local programming is up next. Remember, you can always check us out on scripsnews.com. And if you are staying with us, we have much more news headed your way right now on Scripps News Live, including a closer look at child labor in America. We'll be sharing what a Scripps News investigation discovered about the lack of child labor laws in agriculture. Also, for the first time in more than a century, the U.S. Marines are without a commander. Why one Republican senator is to blame for holding up this nomination. We'll have that story for you next.
If you, like many people, are covered by both Medicare and your state's Medicaid, here's something important to know. Now you could get even more health benefits than you already have. It's the United Healthcare Dual Complete Plan. To find out if you or someone you care about is eligible, it's easy. Call now to talk with us. We can explain it all and answer your questions. Medicaid gives you benefits, and Medicare gives you some too. But a dual complete plan can add even more benefits and features compared to original Medicare. You'll have lots of doctors and hospitals to choose from. $0 copays on all covered prescriptions, including brand names. And depending on where you live, you could enjoy other benefits too, like more dental care and rides to and from your doctor or pharmacy. Most plans even give you up to $300 a month to help pay for covered over-the-counter products, groceries, and new this year, utility bills. And best of all, with this plan, there's no extra cost to you. Remember, if you have Medicare and Medicaid, chances are you could get a dual complete plan. So call now to talk with us. Our agents are available to help. We know healthcare can be confusing. United Healthcare can straighten things out. And with over 40 years of experience, you can count on us to be there for you. With a dual complete plan, you could have a wide choice of doctors to choose from. $0 copays on all covered prescriptions. Help paying for covered over-the-counter products, groceries, and utility bills. More dental coverage too, all at no extra cost. If you have both Medicare and Medicaid, you may be eligible for dual complete. So call the number on your screen now to see if you're eligible or to enroll. There's more for you with the United Healthcare Dual Complete Plan.
Hey there, welcome to Scripps News Live. I'm Veronica Cruz. Great to see you today. Let's get you caught up on the day's top stories. A new grand jury convening today to decide whether former President Trump and others will be indicted for efforts to overturn his 2020 election defeat in Georgia. A previous grand jury in Georgia had the power to investigate but not to indict. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has indicated there could be indictments coming as early as next month. In the meantime, lawyers for the former president and his co-defendant, Walt Nauta, have asked for a delay in their criminal trial for possession of classified documents at his Florida estate. Attorneys say an extraordinary amount of documents and footage needs to be examined still. Lawyers also expressed concerns over whether the former president would get a fair trial before the November 2024 elections. Well, the Justice Department has proposed a mid-December trial date in the meantime. An overnight Russian attack is responsible right now for extensive damage in Ukraine's capital city. The Ukrainian military says it blasted more than 24 drones out of the sky. And take a look at this. You could see the debris from one of the drones right here. But debris also damaged several homes around Kyiv, and this is Russia's second aerial assault this month. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky says that he was not happy about what he heard at the NATO summit in Lithuania today. International correspondent Julia Chapman says it has to do with the timetable for Ukraine becoming a NATO member.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has landed in Vilnius, but he wasn't greeted with the promises that he had been hoping for. The wording of the NATO communique about Ukraine's membership is that the country will become a member when allies agree and conditions are met, suggesting that those two criteria have not been achieved so far. And Zelensky has expressed his frustrations in a tweet. He said that Ukraine deserves respect and that it's absurd that a timeline hasn't been placed on its accession to the NATO alliance. But NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg says that this isn't about timelines, it's about meeting conditions. That said, there have been some steps taken towards further integration of Ukraine into the alliance. The inaugural meeting of the NATO-Ukraine Council will take place on Wednesday. There's discussion of a multi-year assistance program, so certainly working more closely with Ukraine going forward, but it certainly wasn't the result that Kyiv was hoping for. And Zelensky is very likely to express those frustrations when he meets with President Joe Biden on the sidelines of the summit on Wednesday. Julia Chapman, Scripps News, Vilnius, Lithuania.
Well, the Senate Judiciary Committee will consider a proposed ethics bill for the Supreme Court next week. It would require justices to adopt a code of conduct. It would also force them to abide by the same gift, travel, and income disclosure rules required in Congress. And the Judiciary Committee has proposed a board of circuit judges to review ethics complaints about high court justices. Judiciary Committee Chairman Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois has criticized the Supreme Court for not taking up ethics changes before leaving for summer break. One man, Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama, is holding up hundreds of military appointments in the meantime. He is angry about the military allowing paid leave for people seeking abortions. National political correspondent Kevin Sriley explains there is now another controversy swirling around the senator.
Senator Tommy Tuberville is defending his decision to block military nominations, a fight that has been going on for more than 4 months. This as the Marine Corps now is without a central figure for the first time in more than 150 years. The Biden administration says that they are hoping that Tuberville will ultimately rescind his blockage. But Tuberville says that ever since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, he takes issue with the military's decision to provide for paid leave for those seeking an abortion. Take a listen to what he said to CNN's Caitlin Collins last night.
There's got to be conversation. Nobody has even talked to me in 5 months. I hear that the press secretary over there saying, there's been nothing. That's the biggest lie I've ever heard. If they're really worried about readiness, if they're worried about recruiting, how about we get this done? How about they come talk to me and let's talk this out and work it out and come to a good conclusion.
Tuberville is also facing criticism for how he responded when asked about white nationalists in the United States military. Take a listen to what he said on that.
White nationalist is just another word that they want to use other than racism. I'm totally against anything to do with racism. But the thing about being a white nationalist is just a cover word for the Democrats now, where they can use it to try to make people mad across the country, identity politics.
That comment is drawing fierce pushback today. Take a listen to what Senator Rick Scott had to say earlier.
First of all, I don't want anybody to be discriminated against. I didn't hear the comments, but I don't believe there in any discrimination.
But do you believe that white nationalists are racist?
If you're a white nationalist, absolutely. But first of all, we shouldn't judge people by their skin. We should judge people by their character. I mean, this is the most simple. It's one of those basic American principles there is.
Reporting from Washington, Kevin Sriley, Scripps News.
So actors might be joining screenwriters on the picket lines if there is no deal by midnight tomorrow. SAG-AFTRA represents about 160,000 performers, and it posted images saying it's ready to strike. The union and the major studios have negotiated now for weeks, but haven't reached an agreement. Actors want higher pay and residuals and certain protections against artificial intelligence. Now, if they walk out, it's going to be the first time that writers and actors have been on strike at the same time in 63 years. And the United Auto Workers Union gearing up for a possible strike against the big three automakers. And it is about much more than wages and benefits. The union is saying that as the nation pushes for electric vehicles, it wants to make sure that members are staffed at electric battery plants. The current contract expires at 11:59 p.m. September 14th. Illegal child labor is surging across America right now as employers struggle to fill low-paying jobs. A Scripps News investigation discovered children as young as 6 out in the sun and heat on Americans' farmlands. Unlike jobs in other industries, there are few restrictions for child labor in agriculture. National investigative correspondent Patrick Terpstra joins us now live from our Washington bureau. And Patrick, I know this year you've been focused on children working in meat plants, fast food joints, and now you've been digging deeper and taking a closer look at agriculture. What exactly did you find?
Well, Veronica, we found that farms are actually one of the most dangerous places for kids to work, even deadly. Yet there are few restrictions that actually keep kids off of farms. That includes in North Carolina on fields that grow one of America's favorite fruits, blueberries. Who is harvesting the blueberries that end up on America's kitchen tables?
These are all blueberry fields here.
We traveled to the southeast part of the state to try to find out. We came here because the U.S. Labor Department fined 6 blueberry farms in North Carolina for child labor violations back in 2009. There have been no documented cases here in the past 5 years. But on our visit, we discovered children as young as the age of 6 helping to pick blueberries on a commercial farm.
How many children work on the blueberry farm with you?
2. This mother of 2 young children agrees to talk to us and requests we conceal her family's identity out of fear of retaliation for speaking out.
And how old are your kids that work on the farm?
Mi niño tiene 8 años, el más grande, y mi chiquitito tiene 6.
She shows us a photo on her phone of her 8-year-old son at work, bucket in hand. When school let out for the summer, he and his 6-year-old sister began picking blueberries, their mother tells us. We notice her daughter's small feet still have signs of the black sandy soil from the fields. And our piece explores some of the real danger for kids on farms. We're talking about hours in the heat, in the sun, pesticides, and huge machinery, tractors that in a lot of cases kids may be able to drive long before they're ever able to get a driver's license. A lot of this also is perfectly legal. Veronica.
Yeah, I was a reporter in Yuma, Arizona, and I did a piece on migrant farm workers there, and I remember how harsh the working conditions were. Patrick Terpstra live for us there in Washington. Patrick, thank you so much for your reporting. And you can catch Patrick's entire investigation on Scripps News tonight. It happens at 8 p.m. Eastern. Coming up next on Scripps News Live, severe flooding hitting the Northeast hard, destroying homes and washing away cars.
Wow. Bro, I just watched my car just swim away.
Now, state officials are warning people to brace for more. Plus, we will be sharing the struggles some parents face when their child can't attend just any camp. Also, a reminder right here, you can find our stories and much more online. Check us out at scripsnews.com on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Threads. We'll be right back.
This year, Americans will spend $41 billion on auto repairs.
That's right, billions with a B. Why is that number so high? Because cars break down. Your vehicle is going to end up in a shop like this too, and if it's no longer under warranty, you're the one who has to pay the bill, and it could cost you thousands of dollars. That is, unless you call CarShield. With a plan through CarShield, administrators will pay for those costly repairs directly to the mechanic of your choice, including dealerships. That means you get protection on major parts and systems like the engine, transmission, electrical systems, and more. Plus, 24/7 emergency services for flat or damaged tires, lockouts, dead batteries, and towing at no additional cost. And there are even rental car options to keep you on the road.
I've been a mechanic for 35 plus years now. I've seen thousands of repairs over the years. My happiest customers are the ones that come in do have some kind of auto protection policy that's going to cover the repair that they wasn't expecting anyway. I feel great about recommending CarShield to everybody I see.
CarShield has a rich history of dependability, reliability, and success, and has been featured on leading networks like ABC, CNN, Fox News, and more. CarShield is America's most trusted auto protection company.
My mom told me to call CarShield, and I saved $5,000. You should always listen to your mom.
As soon as my car broke down, CarShield jumped into action, and I had my car back within days.
I've been with CarShield for close to 7 years. I have 3 vehicles covered, and I saved close to $9,000.
I called CarShield and saved over $5,000.
Yes, CarShield is a good value. Every plan through CarShield comes with a price lock guarantee, which means no matter how many repairs you need, the price you pay today will never change for as long as you cover your car.
Call now and save money with your price lock guarantee. It's not a matter of if your car will break down, but when. Call CarShield now before it's too late. Call 800-287-5264. 800-287-5264. 800-287-5264.
Every day, more dog people and more vets are deciding it's time for a fresh approach to pet food. They're quitting the kibble and kicking the cans and feeding their dogs dog food that's actually, well, food. Developed with vets, made from real meat and veggies, portioned for your dog, and delivered right to your door. It's smarter, healthier pet food. Get 50% off your first box at thefarmersdog.com/realfood.
Breaking down the headlines.
We're going to take a deeper dive
with up-to-the-minute information, giving you the whole story.
Let's get you caught up on some of today's top stories.
The Debrief, live tonight, starting at 6/5 Central, only on Scripps News.
Right now, parts of the Northeast are underwater. The storm is dropping between 5 and 10 inches of rain in some parts of New York's Hudson Valley and western and central Massachusetts. Nearly 11 million people in Vermont, New York, and Pennsylvania are under flood advisories right now. Scripps News meteorologist Scott Withers explains how they are still not out of the danger zone.
Historic rainfall, potentially catastrophic flooding. Millions of people across New England bracing for the next wave of newly created fast-rising rivers.
This is devastating. This used to be a stream, and now it's a roaring river.
So are the roads and the neighborhoods. And there's more on the way. Up to a half foot could still fall in Vermont. Up to 10 inches of rain fell in a day in parts of Pennsylvania.
Wow. Bro, I just watched my car just swim away.
Similar totals in upstate New York near the West Point Military Academy. The once-in-a-thousand-year flooding event, just a 0.1% chance that it could happen in any year.
Homes and businesses that are in low-lying areas are going to need to be lifted up. Otherwise, we're ignoring the reality that flooding is part of life now here in the state of New York.
Emergency crews rescue people from their homes and cars. But not everyone made it. At least one woman was killed in New York.
She was walking her dog across, from what we know, and got swept up by the literally rapids. It's incredible, the amount of water here.
Waterways quickly filling. The river that runs through Vermont's capital city of Montpelier set to crest at almost 20 feet.
It's not just the initial damage, it's the wave, the second wave, and the third wave. And we're trying to anticipate that.
The flash flooding reminding residents of the devastating inland flooding from Hurricane Irene in 2011. It'll take days for the floodwaters to recede, but the rain has to stop first.
That was Scotty Withers there reporting from Vermont. Coming up next, excessive heat warnings and watches remain in parts of the U.S., parts of California, Nevada, and Arizona, all seeing triple-digit temperatures. National Weather Service says that Phoenix was poised to hit a 12th consecutive day of 110 degrees or higher today. Conditions have been so unbearable, officials have been canceling outdoor events. And summer camps, as we all know, can be lifesavers for working parents. And while there is a wide range of camps to choose from, parents of kids with special needs often find limited options. Scripps News correspondent Matt Pearl takes a closer look at a camp that makes inclusion its mission. There you go. Good job.
On a morning like this, all is as it should be. Zara Khan is 5 years old. She dances with her brother, gets dressed with her mother.
All right, you want to put this one on?
And even when she blurs our camera, her energy is obvious.
She just likes to get involved with her musical toys, you know? She holds it like to her ear like a boombox, and she just kind of rocks with it.
It's actually how she falls asleep at night.
Few would mind staying in this moment for hours.
Yeah.
But Zara's parents must get to work.
When you get in the car, go ahead.
Her siblings must
Go.
get to camp. And Zara?
There you go.
Well, she has her own camp.
She won't even let me hold her hand. I ask her, you want to hold my hand? She just tells me no, and she's beelining. You want to hold my hand? No? No?
Zara has Down syndrome. Her parents, Elijah and Tina, were able to get her into the PAC camp, a camp for those with special needs.
Push it, roll.
The kind of camp
Yes!
of which there are far too few to match the need.
Without it, she'd have nowhere to go. She'd be here with us all day. One of us would have to be here around the clock.
Yay!
During the school year, Zara is one of the more than 7 million students who receive some form of special education. The arrival of summer means options are fewer. Camps like PAC overflow with demand.
We can take 44 kids, and we have 44 kids this year. So
Paula Cohen started and runs the camp.
our son was diagnosed at 2.5 with autism, and he used to get summer school, and then when he was about 9, they cut summer school. We take the kids who aren't potty trained, who aren't verbal, who are aggressive, who has severe special needs. They're in a safe environment where they can have fun, and their parents and families get to have a break.
This day is an exception. Zara and her friends tour a truck from the fire department. They meet a horse from the sheriff's department. But no matter the day, they keep moving. At a time when fewer than a quarter of kids with disabilities get a daily hour of physical activity.
With Zara, we've had medical issues literally since before birth. The day she came home from having her heart surgery, she started to dance. for the very first time as soon as we got home, and she's not stopped since.
At camp,
On your mark, get set, go!
movement brings moments.
Oh boy, the huggy. Okay, all right, easy, easy.
Studies have shown the benefits of camps devoted to children with disabilities. Other studies have shown benefits for all children when traditional camps incorporate inclusion. But it all requires staff and dollars, and the resources aren't always there.
Oh, that's what you want.
For 6 hours on summer days, Zara's time is assured. Then she gets home. She plays, she sits for family dinner, and at some point,
Where's Ariel?
she'll go to sleep, boombox on her ear, and refill her energy for when the next day begins.
Arms up. She's strong-willed and she's a force to be reckoned with. She's on this earth for a reason. She's got purpose.
In Newport Richey, Florida, I'm Matt Pearl.
Coming up next on Scripps News Live, it's been more than 60 years since this veteran flew a military plane, but his love for flying remains sky high.
This brings back so many memories.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just beautiful. My first love.
Okay.
My first love.
First love.
And still is.
This American hero not only shares his memories, but is reliving them as well. Plus, the Powerball jackpot still up for grabs, and this time the top prize is enough for you to buy not one, not two, but potentially several private islands. We're going to tell you more. Also, don't forget, you can always count on Scripps News for all of your news throughout the primetime hours, beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern.
How do you prepare for the front line?
This is not basic training.
Scripps News takes you through Ukrainian combat training.
They're here improving their skills for how to get through Russian minefields.
As Jason Bellini meets former civilians, preparing for realities of the front lines. Wednesday night at 8/7 Central on Scripps News Tonight.
I was having problems with my legs and my feet.
I suffered a lot of cramps, swelling.
I would dread going up and down steps.
Tingling in my legs due to circulation issues.
The aches and pains have just continued to increase.
Did you know if you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, or are over 40, your leg aches and pains could be from poor circulation? Revitive can help reduce leg aches and pains, swelling, and cramps. Revitive uses breakthrough technology to get your calf muscles pumping like a second heart to increase blood flow, reducing leg aches and pains, cramps, or swollen feet and ankles.
Plus, it's drug-free.
The cramping was terrible, and I don't get that anymore. Thank you, Revitive.
Revitive is FDA cleared and clinically proven to increase oxygen-rich blood flow during use. The smart stimulation works so well, over 3 million people use Revitive.
As a firefighter, I'm constantly on my feet. I wish I had known about Revitive a lot earlier. It would have made a huge difference in really who I am today.
Revitive has given me a better quality of life because I am living without pain.
Revitive reduces leg pains 2 times more than exercise alone in just 6 weeks.
We want to take walks. We want to do more social activities, just the typical things in life that I did not feel well enough before Revitive that I was able to do.
Now, Revitive is regenerizing my legs and making me feel like, let's do more.
Go to Revitive.com now to learn how Revitive can help reduce leg aches and pains, swelling, and cramps.
The doctor said, go for it. And I'm in the best shape in terms of my legs and my ankles and my feet than I've ever been.
Try Revitive. You will see the difference. It works. It worked for me.
Get the most out of life with Revitive. Visit Revitive.com. That's REVITIVE.com. Or call
1-800-317-6641. That's 1-800-317-6641 today. Or visit Revitive.com. Order now.
Light up that grill because this rare Omaha Steaks deal is hotter than fire. For a limited time, you get 4 of our famous fork tender filet mignon, 4 air-chilled boneless chicken breasts, 4 boneless pork chops, 4 burgers, and 4 jumbo franks. All of this for just $99.99. Order right now, and you'll get 12 more burgers free. Visit omahasteaks.com/TV today to find all the hot deals.
When Lila was ready to sell her ring, she sent it to Worthy, where they took care of everything and auctioned it on her terms. Then, Worthy sent Lila her money. You're worthy of more. Get started at worthy.com.
You're watching Scripps News. Streaming everywhere, totally free. Want to see more? Grab the app on your favorite streaming platform or go to scripsnews.com to find every way to watch. Go to scripsnews.com now to find out more.
And a quick reminder right here, we'd like to hear from you. You can give us a call on our Scripps News Bureau hotline toll free at 1-833-4-SCRIPPS. Feel free to share your comments and your story ideas with us at any time. Welcome back to Scripps News Live. I'm Veronica de la Cruz. A Korean War veteran had an opportunity to take a trip down memory lane. And as Jamie shared with Scripps News Grand Rapids shows us, he took a journey into the skies that propelled him to new heights.
This is a Douglas C-47 Skytrain, the same type of aircraft used in World War II and heavily involved in D-Day.
It was delivered to the Army Air Corps in April of 1945, which was a little less than a month before the end of the war. This is a 78-year-old airplane. It's seen a lot, even though it's all been civilian.
The plane called Hairless Joe is now used to give people a unique historical experience of being on a World War II aircraft. But today they're flying one Korean War veteran down memory lane, and he has no idea.
So he thinks he's just going to go walk through the airplane and sit in the seat and tell some war stories, but we're going to make his day.
Rudy Grayheck flew an airplane like this one during the Korean War. He was just 19 years old and a captain on the aircraft.
My time when I was in Korea was getting lucky and flying on R&Rs.
Okay.
From out of Seoul K-16 Kimbo into Techikawa, Tokyo.
Okay.
And boy, that was always a thrill.
He remembers every detail like it was yesterday.
You know, I'm just looking here, sitting in this beautiful cockpit here, how tight quarters it is. But back when I was probably about 18 or 19 years old, it was huge. If I remember right, this plane is 65 feet in length, 95 feet of wing.
Wingspan, correct.
That's because you never forget your first love. This aircraft was his.
This brings back so many memories.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just beautiful. My first love.
Okay.
My first love.
First love.
And still is my love yet. She's just a beautiful plane.
After familiarizing himself with this beauty all over again, he got a surprise he wasn't expecting.
Excited? Oh, yeah.
The Skytrain took off, soaring through the skies across land and the lakeshore. Although the flight was only 20 minutes, it took him back more than 60 years.
Oh, you can't imagine the memories it brought back from 52 to 1954. Brought back so many memories. I almost wanted to cry.
After Rudy served in the war, he went on to become a clown, because after seeing so much death, he wanted to bring joy.
I joined the circus and became a clown. Seen a lot more people laughing. Dynamite, the clown.
But the joy he likes to bring others was brought to him today, an experience that he's forever grateful for.
It was just such a great honor bestowed upon me that I can't believe that happened.
I'm Jamie Sherrod for Scripps News.
He did not do it. Oh, my. Vlad Guerrero Jr. will hang on and win.
Well, the 2023 MLB Home Run Derby was full of excitement last night. Julio Rodriguez of the hometown Mariners set the record for most home runs in a single round with 41. But he didn't make the final round. Vlad Guerrero Jr. of the Toronto Blue Jays was this year's home run winner. His father won in 2007, making them the first father-son combo to win that competition. Now, when asked if he thought that he would join his dad in the Hall of Fame one day, he said, "Well, I'm a bit too young to be thinking about that right now." So the Powerball jackpot has ballooned to around $725 million. No one matched all the numbers last night. Tonight's Mega Millions jackpot isn't too shabby either. The estimated jackpot now, $450 million. Good luck to you. I'm Veronica de la Cruz. Thank you so much for joining us today. I will be back with you at 3 p.m. Eastern For the audience leaving us, your local programming is up next. And don't forget, you can always check us out on scripsnews.com. And we will be right back.